Hello friends, welcome to a co-engineered YouTube channel. Today we discuss about essence of Indian traditional knowledge. In this, we have to discuss protection of traditional knowledge in Indian agriculture. Here, protection of Indian traditional knowledge in agriculture. Most of the agriculture practices, particularly in developing countries, stem from indigenous and traditional knowledge systems are rarely documented. They are extremely valuable for the sustenance of these practices and ensuring food security for a large population. Here, protection of traditional knowledge in agriculture is nothing but the most of the agriculture practices, particularly developing countries, stem from indigenous and traditional knowledge stems rarely documented. They are extremely valuable for the sustenance of these practices and ensuring food security for large populations. What are the various natural governments and the natural international and non-governmental organizations have been working on developing a fair and equitable system to protect traditional agriculture knowledge, which is essential for food security, but nothing for substances has emerged so far. Intellectual property protections can be categorized as defensive, preventing others from seeking IPR to one's TK, or positive, establishing IPR to one's TK, here with the resulting possibility of preventing others from using TK without permission. For both types of protection, there have been cases where TK holders have been able to use conventional IPR, intellectual property rights. IPR is nothing but intellectual property rights in the instruments to protect their TK. To protect traditional agriculture and food security, indigenous and cultural local communities have an intimate knowledge of many aspects of their surroundings and their daily lives. Over centuries, people have learned how to grow food and preserve and to survive in difficult environments. They know what the varieties of crops to plant, when to sow, how wood, which plant are poisonous, which can be used to control diseases in plants, livestock, and human beings. So protection of TK is needed for the development of agriculture and food product production, the system to improve the livelihoods of traditional knowledge holders and communities. Traditional knowledge is available to first and foremost to indigenous and local communities that depend on the TK for their livelihoods and well-being, as well as for enabling them to sustainable and manage and explore their local ecosystems. Example through sustainable low input agriculture is nothing but the example of sustainable development of low-input agriculture is that they improve the livelihoods of the traditional knowledge holders and communities in the traditional knowledge is available first and foremost to indigenous and local communities that depend on the traditional knowledge for their livelihoods and well-being, as well as for enabling them to sustainable manage and exploit their local systems. Example through sustainable low-input agriculture is one of the major. The World Health Organization (WHO) has stated that 80% of world population depends on traditional medicine. For this primary health care, the traditional knowledge is indispensable for its survival. Unicated 2020 2000. Here UNCTAD 2000 means decay is increasing accepted as improvement the source of information useful for achieving sustainable development and relieving poverty. Here, the World Health Organization (WHO) has stated that 80% of the world population, here nearly 100%, 100%, 80%, half of the above, the percentage population depends on the traditional medicine. Here, traditional medicine is developed by the indigenous people. For this primary health care, that TK is indispensable for its survival. Unicated on 2000, TK is increasingly accepted an important source of information useful for achieving sustainable development and alleviating poverty. Now, to benefit the national economics, the traditional knowledge benefits the national economics has the potential to benefit them. The still further, such TK is based products on handcrafts, medical plants, agriculture products, and non-wood forest produces are treated in both domestic and international markets and provides sustainable benefits for export countries in the long term. This will reduce industrial interest in natural product research for food, agriculture, or health, as well as the associated TK, associated traditional knowledge. Here, the benefits of the national economic traditional knowledge benefits. What are the benefits of the national economy has been developed? When I have to develop the traditional knowledge that national economy is developed, the potentials of benefits them the still further. Such TK based on products as handcrafts, the medical plants, and agriculture products, the non-wood forest products are treated in the both domestic and international marketings. These are the best economic imbalance. Economic balance you have to balance from these topics. Handicrafts and medical plants is one of the most economic balanceable. Nowadays, the corona pandemic, you have to use a number of medical issues, medical pandemics. In the medical industry, how to use member of economy is imbalanceable. Now, can it provide sustainable benefits for exports to countries in long term, which will reduce industrial interests in natural product research for food, agriculture, and health, as well as associated traditional knowledge to conserve environmental. The conversion ethic is a relevant feature of the sustains and resource management practices of many present-day Indigenous or negative peoples or traditional communities is exposed by a large number of field stories. Example, Bobley 1976, Clare 1884, Martin 1974, the Rachel Dameton of 1976. The several academic studies on traditional communities provide sufficient evidences that the protections of traditional can provide significant environmental benefits. The traditional communities they maintain the center of crop genetic diversity, which includes protection of traditional agriculture, knowledge, and food security in developing countries. To conserve the environmental and conservation ethic is prevent features the substantiables and resource management practices of many present-day indigenous and native peoples and traditional communities is supported by a large number of field studies. Example, Bobley in the 1976, 1984 Clary, and 1978 Martin, and Richard Dom Dimitrov, 1976. Several academic studies on the traditional communities provide sufficient evidences that the production of TK can provide significant environmental benefits. The traditional communities they maintain the center of crop genetic diversity, which includes production of traditional agriculture, knowledge, and food security in developing countries. Now, prevent and biopiracy is nothing but the biopiracy is nothing but what are the biology from the nature we have what are the products you have to be observe, what are the products you have to need from the nature is called as biopiracy. This issue of biopiracy has become highly contagious and seem to have played a catalyzing role in the introduction of access designations in some developing countries. The term biopiracy was coined by the North American advocacy group Rural Advancement Foundation International as part of the country attack strategy on belief of the developing countries that had been accused by developed countries, particularly the United States, of intellectual piracy. Here, biopiracy is nothing but the term biopiracy was coined by the North American advocacy group, the Rural Advancement and Foundation International. Biopiracy means what are the rurals, what are the beneficial from the your nature and the environmental. For example, biopiracy, some of the name plants, neem and turmeric are one of the biopiracy of your mankind of your human health and medicines of the system. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.